Turtle WoW's highly anticipated 1.17.2 patch is a fact, and it comes with even more anticipated and highly sought after tier set reworks and new add-ons. Before we start this video, my name is Verdict and thank you so much for stopping by. This is my second YouTube channel which I've dedicated towards my Warcraft adventures, in particular with Turtle WoW. We're working towards our 1000 sub goal with full might and glory, and I would like to give a shout out to all newcomers and say a massive thank you guys, because we're building up quite fast and I really appreciate you for it. Now back to the video, and we will start with the tier 1 and 2 sets for all paladin specializations, which can be obtained by trading in regular boss drop pieces to one of the NPCs in Blackrock Mountains. Important note is, once you've completed any of these quests for any of the tiers, you need to go to Ratchet if you think you've made the wrong choice and visit the quest NPC exchange there. Starting up with tier 1, Holy is seeing a pretty standard itemization build to fit the early game molten core progression, mana regen with fire resistance, really nice healing values overall. The set looks like the original one that we used to drop regularly, and the 3 and 5 sets effects are pretty straightforward, but the 8 one is where it becomes really interesting, as paladins now would like to go in melee to take full use of their recent reworks, being Holy Shock resets through Crusader Strike. This might come in handy. Retribution set is really strong for tier 1 quality, playing into the desired hybrid itemization with really impressive values, but where it gets really interesting is the set effects. Additional holy damage on every judgment of righteousness and command, critical strike chance, and lastly a 15% chance to trigger additional damage with melee attacks. What really got me though is the dark tint of blood red on the set. That's flat out amazing looking. Moving on to the protection set, a very straightforward defense, stamina, and spell power, with some pieces having avoidance, which is all that you would ever need to start the game as a tank. But where it gets really spectacular are actually the set effects: mana reduction on consecration by 20%, block chance by 2, and a stronger version of the retribution set 8 out of 8, which is kind of looking OP at first glance. Tier 2 is where it starts getting really interesting for all specializations. Holy sees a flat increase of stats with a casting speed addition to many pieces. The set effects, however, are the price. Additional healing done with Holy Light, mana reduction, and last, critical strikes having a chance to heal additionally. The retribution set is at the moment considered completely busted, tons of additional stats and effects to every piece. The first set effects helping with mana and vengeance uptime as the holy damage crits and procs Judgment of Wisdom, followed up by additional spell damage, and last a 35% chance per crit to deal 300 holy damage, which is really cool. Protection tier 2 is truly a tank set, there to make you bulk up. Tons of stamina, hit chance, some avoidance, and exactly the same set effects like retribution, but with the exception of the 8 out of 8 piece, which instead of offensive crits to trigger, now has a 35% chance per block to give you a massive 200 block value for your next attack. Since Zul'Gurub and AQ20 sets have the same variations and no changes in last patch, I'll leave them out for now. Moving to the AQ40 and starting immediately with Holy. The stats on the pieces are underwhelming for tier 2.5, but the set effects are really interesting, giving the paladin mana regen while in combat with a 10% chance per heal to give you a massive 173 healing for 12 seconds, which is really big. Moving on to the retribution set, which is exactly the same with one difference, and that's the 3 set, which now increases Crusader Strike's damage by 6%. Keep note that in the latest changes, Crusader Strike and Holy Strike got reworked to function on a shared cooldown, so this 6% is pretty big for the red pallies. Protection received a not much better item budget set compared to the retribution one, which we used in the past for tanking and damage both ways. While on the pen and paper it's not impressive, it addresses defense issues and grants more spell power than the retribution set, which is one of our main focused attributes right now. But it's not the items which we care about that much as the sets, and that is a massive 12% additional damage to Holy Strike, which in protection is already quite potent. Overall a W threat set. And we're finally on to the cherry of the list, and that's the tier 3. Holy's tier 3 remains the same, sadly, so nothing new to be seen here. Retribution, however, looks like a beast set loose. Strength, attack speed, crit, attack power, even more crit, 400 damage extra to exorcism, and a capstone is a mighty 91 spell power to shut the hybrid red junkies' mouths for good. Hot damn. The protection set shares near similar set effects, but the itemization is just on a whole new level. Crazy amounts of stamina, avoidance, armor, and spell damage throughout the entirety of the set. And now for dessert, we have the new tier 3.5 sets for all specializations that we will acquire inside the upper Karazhan halls, which is of course the new raid. The holy set is absolutely crazy with an insane amount of healing on each piece, 3% crit on the chest because why not? And the special thing, a necklace for a 6th optional piece, which is a thing that every single specialization has, and I really like that. The set pieces increase holy shock cooldown reset chance by an additional 15% on top of the 5% already in game. Remember, holy shock gains a higher chance to reset its cooldown the more healing you have on you. And lastly, the 5 piece increases the healing of holy shock even more. The Retribution set is also absolutely insane, packed to the brim with stats and effects, and its set bonus is what we must talk about. Holy Might, which is a talent from Retribution causing your Holy Strike to give you 20% additional strength, now is increased by 12% on top. The 5 set has a chance to increase the attack speed of your party by 2%, stacking up to 3 times. This is the pure meaning of having a Paladin support in your party. Absolutely insane indeed. And finally, the protection set. It is basically a tier 2.5 but on steroid, the ultimate threat paladin set. Providing additional healing received while in consecration, we also get an additional threat on holy shield by 40% and block value as well. And we're finally at the end of the video. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Tell me which set in your eyes is done best. What are you mostly excited to acquire? And I'll make sure to read it down below. See you in the next one.